Hello and welcome to Lemon Drops and Lap Dances. I'm your host, Lori, also known as Hypnotic. Everything I know about how to succeed in love, life, and business I learned while working in a strip club. And on this show, I tell it all. Join me as we dip our toes into hustle and club culture and learn how to win at life while we're at it. Let's get started.
You guys, welcome to episode 7. Oh my goodness. This is crazy, right? Episode 7, that means we started this thing 7 weeks ago. As the end of this season draws near, I find myself becoming a bit nostalgic. Like, for real, do you remember 8 weeks ago when I launched my trailer? How crazy is that? I am seriously in awe of how far we've come together and how much this weekly podcast has taught me. I've learned so much, but we'll get into that in a minute. First things first, how are you? How was your week? Hopefully, dope and just beautiful. I hope and I pray that your week was just filled with beautiful moments and moments that allow you to grow and moments of confirmation for things that you're hoping for and things that you're pushing towards. I just want that for you. Just all the things for you. I really do. Like, genuinely, deep down in my spirit, I just want all the best, all the good for you. So, me. My week was interesting. um, yeah, interesting is definitely the word I would use to describe it. Like how I said I wanted to do this full time? Funny story is that I believe now that it's closer to becoming a reality than even I can realize. Like, I put it out there, I said it, and I really believe it. Like, this is what I want to do. And it's crazy. Like, I'm meeting people that are looking for what I have to give and collaborating with me. And then I have this podcast, but then I have opportunities to host on other podcasts, and it's crazy. I find myself getting more and more confirmation that this is 100% what I should be doing. Crazy, right? And had I not started this podcast and had I not took that leap of faith and took that first step, I would never know. I would never know that I enjoyed this and that this is truly what I want to do. And it's crazy. Only took me 38 years to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. When I was 5, and if you would have asked me what I wanted to be, I would have said, I want to be a singer. Always loved singing, always loved music. I've always been fascinated by radio personalities and DJs. And it's funny because I know a lot of them. I know a lot of radio personalities. I know a lot of DJs. And I have more than a few that I can call close friends and family. Shout out to DJ Sandman and all my people in Tampa. And so, yeah, and even shout out to DJ Dap in Tallahassee too. That's my cousin. Love him to pieces. Oh yeah, and shout out to the Nut House crew down there in Tampa too. So yeah, I've always been podcast, DJ, and radio adjacent for a while. I never thought I'd be one to give it a try though. Like, I'm sitting here thinking about it and going through the names. Like, there's DJ Mingle Mix, there's DJ Fader. There's just like so many people that I know that DJ, and then there's the on-air personalities that I know, and it's just crazy to think that I was in this circle and around these people, and it never once dawned on me like, hey, maybe you should give it a try. Anyway, here we are. I never thought I'd be the one to do it or give it a try or even be any good at it. Honestly, because I don't like public speaking. I never have. And I always felt inadequate whenever I did speak. Like, I never felt like I was a good speaker or a good storyteller or anything like that. Like, I could write you a story, I could write my ass off. But speaking and telling you and conveying what I'm feeling, that was hard for me. So when I say that I've grown with this podcast, I've definitely grown, and it's so cool to see. But I mean, here we are. I think I'm okay at this. Granted, I still have work to do. There's always room for improvement and growth, and there's feedback that I get from you guys and from others that really edify me and lift me up and allow me the space. It gives me the space to grow and do better. But for the most part, I do think I'm doing pretty good if I say so myself. All right. So, the title of this episode is called I Didn't See That Coming. I didn't see that coming. I picked this title because every morning I write my prayers in a journal, and sometimes I'll go back and reread some old prayers. Why? Why do I do that? It keeps me humble. Going back and reading the things that I poured out and wrote to God is a way of keeping me humble. And it also shows me how far I've come by faith and just trusting. So, like, case in point, when we were in Bahrain, I wrote out a prayer that said, I would like to live in Maryland. If this is possible, I would love to live in Maryland and then move to Germany. I wrote that out, I want to say, in 2012. In 2013, we got orders to Maryland. And we lived there for a couple of years. I loved it. And then in 2015, we got surprise orders to Germany. And I had long forgotten all about writing that down. But when we got back to Florida, I was going through my journals and I saw that and I just got goosebumps. It was absolutely crazy. So that's why I didn't see that coming. So that's why I journal and that's why I keep going back to them just to kind of see how life has progressed based on the things that I poured out and put out there. Anyway, this week I picked a particular day when I was looking back in my journals and it was May 6th, 2021. I don't know why I picked that day, but I did. And that is a crazy day. But 2 days prior to May 6th, my brother-in-law Ooh, okay. No, he wasn't my brother-in-law. He's my brother. Anyway, he passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. And it was just it has been still a devastating loss for us because both my husband and I, and I'm not going to cry today, and my children were extremely close to Dave. Yeah. Woo. So I started the prayer like this. Dear God, I didn't see that coming. Wow. I said, that hurts. This hurts. But I know there's a reason far bigger than I can realize or even reason with outside of this pain that I'm feeling. But yeah, I didn't see that coming. Not a little bit. Not at all. And I can remember writing those words. And then I keep going and I just pour out my heart. And while I didn't ask why in that particular journaling session, I know my heart asked the question and it still asks the question, why? But there's been a lot of moments in my life that I didn't see coming. Working at a strip club, definitely didn't see that coming. But I'm glad I did work there. I didn't know it at the time, but the experience was opening me up to a world of possibilities that I couldn't imagine or even see. Can I tell you something? Let me let you in on something. I thought that I was going to be a dancer for a very long time. Like, once I started stripping, that was it. I just knew that I would dance well into my early 30s, and then I'd retire and maybe have a sugar daddy or whatever and be a rich babe on an island somewhere with zero responsibilities and a list of suitors a mile long. Yeah. Oh, and a staff. Because I hate cleaning bathrooms. I hate it, and it makes me sad. But life is funny, right? Life is so funny. Instead of staying in that club, I began to find myself wondering if there was more to life than going to that club every night. I became restless and unfulfilled, and it was baffling to me. I started a relationship. I began dating a guy that was totally wrong for me, and we always do. There's always that guy that's completely wrong for us, but we are madly in love with him and we love him and I loved him. And it's such a nightmare of a relationship that we should never have been in the first place. Anyway, that was the beginning of the end of club life for me, was when I entered into that relationship. Definitely ordained and definitely predestined to enter that into that relationship. But anyway, enter Jimmy. Jimmy D. Jimmy D, aka Fathead. Oh gosh, Jimmy D was such an interesting person. He was so cute. He had the bluest eyes that I've ever seen on a human being. He was kind and loving. However, he also had another side to him that was extremely ruthless and cunning and dominating. And I mean, he was in them streets. He loved the streets, and the streets loved him, respected him, and hated him. And unfortunately, the streets would ultimately be his downfall and the reason why he's no longer with us. Rest in heaven, fathead. I miss you. However, Jimmy loved me. I was his Achilles and he was mine. Like, we were like oil and water. Is it oil and water? Yes. Oil and water. Like, we did not go together at all. Like, it was such a toxic situation and it was so bad and we fought so badly, the domestics that happened, and it was just yeah. And the crazy thing is, we were going to get married. Like, he proposed to me and I really thought I was in love with him. I honestly didn't know what love was at that time, but I thought I found it. And then something changed. I don't know when the shift happened, but something happened and I just was done. I didn't want to be in the streets anymore. I didn't want to live life on the edge, not knowing if I was going to live or die day by day. I was working in the club until Jimmy pressured me to move to a different city with him and set up a house and just be, Holly homemaker. And I moved, but it didn't work. It wasn't my time. Plus, I have never liked the idea of being financially dependent on anyone. So I moved back to Panama City. I was with Jimmy for a minute, a couple years. And then I moved back to Panama City and I tried to rejoin and begin club life again. And it just didn't work. My heart wasn't in it. I was searching for something and I just didn't know what it was. And I don't know. Honestly, I believe it was in these moments when my grandmothers were praying for me, when my grandmothers were really petitioning on my behalf for my life to change. And their prayers were answered because I would just roam the streets at night. I would just be walking around at night by myself, in the city, one side of the city to the next. I'd walk the length of the city. Hamilton reference. Anyway, I would always end up by the water. And one day I walked near a bridge and a thought came to me. I was by this bridge and I was like, why don't you just jump? And I was just like, that thought scared me. It scared the crap out of me that I even had that thought. And so I just left. I left that bridge and I walked by a Catholic church. And I just remember sitting in the garden because I'm just freaked out because I'd never had that thought before. And I just sat there crying and praying and begging God to help me. I just was like, I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with club life. God, if you just help me out of this, I will do whatever. Just get me up out of this. I can't anymore. Like I was sobbing. That was my rock bottom. I was done. I was burnt out. I was over it. I didn't know if I was praying right. I didn't know if anybody was listening. There wasn't a big revelation or angel singing or still small voices. I just knew that I needed something bigger than myself. And then I stopped going to the clubs. Just shut it down. I started reading the Bible. I started journaling. I found a roommate. I got a regular job. I went back to school. And eventually, I got my life together. Yes, this is the Cliff Notes version because if I went through everything that happened after that Catholic garden situation, we'd need a few more months of this podcast and lots of hours. There were lots of lots that I didn't see coming. Meeting my husband. Let me tell y'all, I didn't want to date anybody in the military, but we'll get to that later on. I didn't. Becoming pregnant with my daughter and giving birth to her at 27 weeks. Definitely didn't see that coming. Finding myself forgiving the people who hurt me in the past and letting go of the mistakes that I made. Not seeing them as miseries and mistakes, but as masterpieces that have been made into this beautiful mess of mosaic art that is my life. Definitely didn't see that coming. There are so many moments that we don't see coming. The unexpected. When we think of the unexpected, we're told to be prepared and expect the unexpected. But how can you expect what's unexpected? We never can do that. We can't. We're told by society to expect the unexpected, but we never do and we never can. I mean, sure, there's a certain level of preparation you can do for things like finances. You can prepare for the worst in finances, and you can prepare for your family for whenever you go to the next phase of life or whatever. But there are things that happen in your life that are unexpected. And people always think that unexpected, most people, I can't say people, all people, but most people think that the unexpected is bad waiting to happen. But I think after everything that I've been through and what I've learned, I think that the unexpected is a chance to take the bad and use it for good. While we're in the thick of it, we're not thinking that way, are we? Well, we're not supposed to. I believe that we are meant to be present in the pressure. I believe that we're supposed to feel it and sit with it, experience it, and eventually learn from it. And I say this because it's what I've done. It's what I do now. I didn't realize it. I was way immature to realize that that's what I was doing. But it's what I've done. It's what I do now. And it's what I'll always do. Maybe so should you. Maybe instead of trying to escape it, the pressure, the pain, sit with it, feel it, experience it, be human. Allow yourself the space to be a human and learn from it, grow from it. And no, we didn't see that coming, but that's okay. It's okay if we didn't see it coming because it was there for us always anyway. So like with Dave, we didn't see that coming. And it hurt. And it hurts. But it's okay. Because from those ashes, there's been beauty. You just have to look for it. So when life gives you the ashes, when the ashes arise, when the ashes come, rise like a phoenix and trade them for beauty. Okay. So thank you so much for listening to me today. Guys, I'm always so blessed by you and by this podcast. I'm sad that next week will be our last week together and until the new year, but I'm excited for the things that are coming up in the next season. And I hope you are as well. As always, connect with me on the socials, especially this week and in the off season, so that you can be a part of the curation to help me curate the content that'll be on week after week. For me, this is a collaborative creative process, and I want you to be my partner in this. I want to know what you guys think and what you're thinking and what ideas you have for me. So please feedback me. Feedback me. So with that, I love you. You guys are amazing. You're doing the best that you can, and it's okay. You're here. You're listening to me. You're in this moment, and that's awesome. And I'm grateful. So go have a beautiful week. And until next Friday, our last Friday, this is Hypnotic out.
Hi, friends. I just want to thank you so much for listening. Please tune in every week on Friday to discover more tried and tested insider tips for getting better at life, love, and business. Until our next episode, you can connect with me on Instagram at Lemon Drops and Lap Dances. And please don't forget to leave a rating and subscribe to our show wherever you like to get your podcast. I'm going to see you next week. And this is Hypnotic saying goodbye for now.